In a post-apocalyptic world, Juliette drives through a barren land as she scavenges for anything that can help her survive. When she finds a bunch of abandoned vehicles, she inspects every nook and cranny and even checks the gas tanks, but unfortunately there's nothing useful. After watching the sea for a while, she keeps on driving and eventually stops at a gas station. With a gun in hand, she looks through all the shelves for any food to no avail. Suddenly the ceiling starts shaking and the growling of a monster known as Reaper can be heard coming from the upper floor, so Juliette immediately goes away. While driving, she gets in contact with her friend Harry, who is part of her survivor group. Juliette informs him that her battery is running low and that she'll take a shortcut to return to their base. Moments later, she stops the car when she spots an abandoned RV and takes a closer look, only to find a severely wounded man. As she threatens him with her gun, she demands to see his wound and asks where the Reaper went, to which the guy replies he's locked it inside the RV. He also points out there are cans of food in the RV before asking her to end his suffering, but Juliette just tells him she must save bullets so he can die by uncovering his wound. Then Juliette enters the RV and fights the Reaper, causing the vehicle to shake a lot as she struggles but ultimately killing the creature with a shot. When she comes out, the man is dead. After taking all the supplies she can find, Juliette goes back to the road and drives while looking at a picture of herself with a guy. Suddenly the wind blows the picture away, causing Juliette to get distracted as she tries to catch it and she ends up with the car going off the road, flipping a few times before landing upside down. Juliette wakes up to discover her leg is fractured and stuck in the seat. It's also dark outside, which means the Reapers will be coming out soon and she can't defend herself because her gun has fallen out of the car so she can't reach it. Juliette tries to move her leg but it's too painful, so instead she tries to use the radio, but it isn't working. Using a stick and some wire, Juliette reaches for the gun and manages to move it a bit, but unfortunately her tool breaks before she can retrieve it. Juliette decides to put up with the pain and uses a pipe to free her broken leg. Then she makes a tourniquet and washes the wound with some alcohol before painfully pushing the bone back into place. Juliette manages to make an improvised cast with things from the car, then she works on fixing the radio but sadly nobody answers her call. At that moment she hears a Reaper approaching, so she quickly crawls out and grabs her gun before hiding in her car. Juliette stays quiet while the Reaper wanders too close to the vehicle and suddenly the radio comes alive with Harry's voice. The Reaper hears it and comes her way, so Juliette has no choice but to throw the radio out of the car. The creature finds the radio and throws it away before approaching the car, but when it's about to get inside, it hears a noise in the distance and goes away. Juliette finds some glow sticks and throws them outside to see if any Reapers are near. She doesn't see anyone, so she comes out and retrieves the radio. Suddenly she hears a weird noise and tenses, so she throws the glow sticks in various directions until she finds a Reaper on top of her car. Juliette immediately shoots it before rushing back into the car, where she waits for the creature to shoot again. However, the Reaper surprises her from behind by pulling the window cover off. A terrified Juliette tries to move but the Reaper grabs her leg, so she retaliates by starting the car and pressing the accelerator, causing the wheels to hurt the creature. The Reaper runs away and Juliette tries to shoot it, but she misses. While she's looking out, the Reaper sneaks inside through the opposite window and growls, startling Juliette into shooting it. After the Reaper runs away, Juliette tries to fix her radio but her hands are shaking and there isn't any more alcohol she could use to calm down. Juliette fixes the radio and contacts Harry, although she can't hear him well. She tells him what happened and asks for help, but after Harry says something about a beacon, the connection is lost. Juliette searches the car and finds a box with a beacon, so now she'll have to read the manual to activate it. As she works, she thinks about the day she discovered she was pregnant. The couple was very happy to see the positive result on the test, but unfortunately 9 months later the baby died during labor and the couple had to go home to an empty nursery. In the present, Juliette manages to make the beacon work. Then she barricades the windows just in time for the creature to come back. After seeing her through the windshield, it moves to the window and tries to push the cover, so Juliette pushes it down with her feet. The Reaper decides to start hitting the car instead, and at that moment Juliette gets a call from Harry, who tells her they'll save her soon and reminds her to use light on Reapers. Juliette knows this, but her flashlight is broken. Suddenly she hears a noise and turns to discover that the creature has broken the windshield, so now it's coming after her from the front. Thankfully now Juliette can turn on the headlights, and the brightness scares the creature away. Afterward Juliette calls Harry, who is bad news. They will not rescue her until sunrise because it is too dangerous to go out that far at night. This triggers another memory. Since the loss of the baby, things had been tense between Jack and Juliette, and one day she just ran away. Jack managed to find her and an argument ensued, during which Juliette admitted she didn't really want a child and Jack pressured her into it. Furious, Jack walked away from the car, intending to take the subway alone. He blamed Juliette's former addiction for the baby's death and broke up with her. Back to the present, Juliette hears an engine nearby and begins honking the horn to get its attention. 2 men on a bike stop next to the car and one of them comes inside saying he'll help, but he turns out to be a cannibal who wants to kill her. As Juliette struggles to stop him from stabbing her, the Reaper comes back and drags the guy out to crush his skull. The friend immediately leaves on the bike and Juliette watches the Reaper feed on the body. Another flashback reveals that after the argument, Juliette went to a bar to get drunk and ignored all the calls she kept getting from Jack. At that moment she saw on TV that there was a chemical attack at the subway station, which killed over 30 people. Then she got a call from an unknown number telling her that Jack was hurt during the attack, so she fled to the hospital. When she arrived at the hospital, she learned Jack couldn't speak anymore, but he still communicated. He touched her face with his special gesture through the curtain and then used a board to say "I love you." For the first time, Juliette answered "Me too." Jack also made her promise she would never give up. Determined to keep her promise, Juliette takes a flare plus 2 gas containers and leaves the car. She proceeds to douse a container with gas and then lights the flare, waving it around to get the Reaper's attention. When the creature starts approaching her, Juliette walks backward and waits for the Reaper to reach the container to shoot it, causing an explosion. However, the Reaper runs away just in time. Juliette looks around to find it, but the creature suddenly appears behind her and makes her drop the gun. Terrified, Juliette pushes those skinny arms away and goes back into the car, only for the Reaper to grab her wounded leg and make her bleed. As Juliette desperately reaches for her gun, the Reaper pulls her out of the car and throws her to the ground. Then she shoots the creature twice, making it fall. Once the creature stops moving, Juliette cries and remembers the day she went back to the hospital only to discover they took Jack away because he died, causing her to have a breakdown. In the present, the morning finally comes and the Reaper starts moving, but Juliette is out of bullets. Suddenly the creature climbs on top of her, but instead of attacking, it gently touches her face, making her realize this is Jack. Juliette hugs Jack while finally telling him that she loves him. After putting a new bullet in the gun, she pushes their heads against each other to end things and go into the afterlife together.